Good day and welcome to another Oak Harbor City Updates episode. I'm Mayor Scott Dudley, and today's Oak Harbor City Update is on public safety, and who better to give us a public safety update is our own police chief, Chief Ed Green, as well as our fire chief, Chief Ray Merrill. I appreciate you guys coming in, and I know it's summer and we've got 4th of July coming around, and I can see by our table, you guys have got quite the exciting public safety update. So let's start with the fire department and educate us on what's happening at the fire department.
Good. Thanks,
Chief
Mayor.
Merrill.
Thank you, Mayor. In May, we did have two structure fires.
Okay.
A mobile home caught on fire, and then an outbuilding attached to that caught on fire. It came in about 2 o'clock in the morning. Nobody got hurt, which was very good, but it was a total loss on the guy's mobile home.
But it was one call, one fire, but two structures.
Two structures.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, this was caused by an extension cord that was buried under a door and then arced out and caught the shed on fire, which then moved over and caught the deck on fire, which caught the mobile home on fire. But they were very fortunate to get out because they were between the fire and their exit. But they got out quick enough. So 2 structure fires for the month. We still keep holding these cooking fires.
Okay.
We had 2 of them last month in May. No damage, so very fortunate there. And I want to really be brief on this stuff, so I really want to talk about fireworks today. But as you can see, we're holding pretty consistent on our calls and our time frames as we see month to month to month. I did notice, though, from 2014 to 2015, we had almost a 30 call jump in the month of May. So in 14, we had 79 calls, and in May, we had 108 calls. So it was definitely a busy month for us. But I don't want to spend a lot of time here. I want to spend time here. So as we know, it's coming up on 4th of July. We hope everybody has a great time, but we want people to be safe. And we want to talk about fireworks and fireworks safety. And I've got to say this, we have been very fortunate in the city not to have a lot of incidents over the years due to fireworks. About 5 or 6 years ago, we had a roof that caught on fire. We've had some minor grass fires, but we've been very fortunate compared to other places. And I've got some statistics to look at here in just a minute to show what it looks like statewide compared to what we see here locally. So what's legal? Okay. People ask us, what's legal? And I'm going to talk about legal versus illegal stuff. We know we can buy them starting June 28th at noontime. From noon till 11, you can buy and discharge fireworks. Okay. On June 29th through July 3rd, you can start buying them at 9 a.m. and you can discharge them up to 11 p.m. On July 4th, you can again buy them at 9 a.m. and you can set them off till midnight. Now, we know history says they're going to go off a lot later than midnight, but that's what the state law says, and we follow the state law. Okay. And then on July 5th, you can buy them from 9 a.m. and again discharge them up to 11 p.m. That's when they're legal to purchase or discharge. As we know, they're already being sold on the reservation. Right. And we've heard some fireworks already going off already this year. Okay. So normally, what's sold at the local fireworks stand is going to be considered legal fireworks. Okay. But the question is, how do you know what's legal? And when we talk about it, if we look at ground and handheld sparkling devices, sparklers, those are legal. Okay. Fountains, the ones that just shoot the balls up, those are legal. Wheels that spin around or ground spinners that spin. But I've got these 2 here. And how can you tell by looking at these 2 whether or not they're legal or not legal?
I can't.
You can't. We can.
Okay.
So it's got to say, it's got to have a warning label that says a warning on it somewhere. Okay. That's one thing it's got to have. It's got to have instructions on how to use it. Okay. It's got to have a label with the name and the place of the manufacturer on it. The big thing is it's got to say consumer fireworks with a 1.4 G or a 1.3 G special fireworks in order to be legal. So on that one, you're going to find there's no 1.3 or 1.4. That's a missile. That's an illegal firework.
It has a warning, but it doesn't have it. Okay, it doesn't have the other. Okay.
And it tells you where it was made. Right. And it probably even tells you how to shoot it off.
Right.
But it doesn't say 1.3 or 1.4. And normally what you're going to find is something like this. It says 1.4.
And what is that?
That is a UN classification number that we work with that sets up explosive devices. Okay. So there's 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and they all have different designations what the 1 point number means. A 1.3 and a 1.4 is a consumer firework.
Okay.
That makes it legal. And of course, they're going to be packaged with nice bright colors to get your attention.
Absolutely.
So we've got this one back here.
Yep. It's got a warning on it.
It's got a warning label.
Okay.
I don't see anything on there that says 1.3.
No.
I don't see anything that says 1.4. I notice that it does say shoots flaming balls.
Right.
16 shots.
Yep.
Illegal.
Okay.
We know that aerial devices are legal, as long as they're helicopters or Roman candles. A Roman candle, one that you hold in your hand.
Okay.
A legal device. And aerial shells up to 1 3/4 inch is legal.
Okay.
If it's over 1 3/4 of an inch, it's not a legal device. So this one you can put in the tube. It's got a little cardboard tube. You drop it in the tube, you light this, and it shoots it up 100 feet and explodes.
Got it.
This is a legal device. If it's over 1 3/4 inches in diameter, it's not a consumer firework, it's a pyrotechnic firework.
Okay.
So an illegal device. So what's illegal? Firecrackers, lady fingers. So firecrackers like this one, or ones like this that come in the long paper one. The ones that we as kids used to light off in the backyard.
Right.
So this is an illegal firework. So people ask us, well, what about M80s or M60s or M100s?
Right.
They are not a firecracker. They are an explosive device. This carries a misdemeanor if you get caught with it. These devices, as Chief Green will talk about, these are felonies.
Huh.
Because these are actually an explosive device. They're in the same category as a pipe bomb, as a tennis ball bomb, as a sparkler bomb.
Okay.
These can have enough power as much as a quarter of a stick of dynamite.
Right.
So these are really explosive devices,
Scary.
not firecrackers. Bottle rockets. Those little things right there.
Yep.
This is what we get our fires from. You put it in a bottle and you shoot it and off it goes, and it may go 100 feet, it might go 300 feet. And then when it lands, this is still hot, and this is what catches the grass or a roof on fire.
Yeah.
So these are really dangerous, as are these kinds of rockets. These will go a couple hundred feet. These could go 600 or 700 feet.
Okay.
And they carry the same problem as these. Just a lot bigger, what they call a Royal Salute rocket. And when it takes off, it goes quite a ways.
Okay.
These are our biggest fire problems. Because once you light it, you have no control where it ends up.
Right.
You know, at least this stuff, if you lit it in the backyard, it's going to stay on the grass and it might burn the grass. If you light these off, they're going to explode. They're going to stay right there. This stuff, it usually goes straight up, explodes, and comes straight down. These travel distances.
Okay.
These are our biggest concerns. And mortars over 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Again, the 1 3/4 or less is legal. Over 3/4, that's a pyrotechnic display.
Got it.
And those ones are dangerous. And those ones can go 700, 800, 900 feet up in the air before they report. So that's stuff we're concerned about. And missiles and skyrockets like I just talked about. So we really want to be careful. We really don't want to see these. You can't buy them here locally, but you can buy the stuff on the reservation and then bring them off the reservation. It's illegal to take it off the reservation. And I know in years past, the State Patrol has done some stings over at the reservation. They watch somebody go in, they buy the product. As soon as they get onto Highway 20 and get off the reservation, they get pulled over, and their fireworks gets taken.
Okay.
So, sparkler bombs. You can go on the internet and you can see how to build a sparkler bomb. A very simple device. We average 2 incidents per year in the city with sparkler bombs. And over the years, people have blown up porta potties. They've started big grass fires. We've had some kids last year that almost started a big field on fire because of putting off a sparkler bomb. We've been fortunate we haven't had any recent injuries, but in years past we've had people with burns to their fingers, and we've had them where when they've exploded, the fragments have got on and burnt them. We've had some near amputations because of it, but that's years past. We've been very fortunate in the last few years. I can't tell you how dangerous these things really are. We know the sparkler burns at 2,000 degrees. And now when you compact it all together and you tape it up really tight and you put 30 or 40 of these together, they make a huge explosion, extremely dangerous. And you just don't realize that little sparkler is going to be that dangerous.
Okay.
But again, you can go online and see how to make one. So some statistics around the state on a 10-year average. Statewide, we average 665 fires per year, 212 injuries per year. Of that, 99 of those are burns of some sort. 100 of the cases are trauma, cuts, eye injuries, partial amputations, and on an average, every year, we're going to have 13 complete amputations of some sort, anywhere from a finger to fingers to hands. We had one over in Navy Housing about 5 years ago where a kid lit off a firework, didn't get out of his hand fast enough, and blew off his fingers.
Scary.
So it does happen. And, it's scary because it's never going to happen to me, is some of the attitude. And when we look at, this really struck me when I looked at the age versus the gender. Males 1 to 7, we have 8 injuries per year on average. 8 to 14, 23. The big one, 15 to 21 years old, 41 injuries per year on the average. And then 22 to 28, you can see we have 27 of them. 29 to 35, we have 13. 36 years old and plus, 32 injuries on an average per year. And then unknown age was 9. This really struck out at me at the females. Very low average of the 15 to 21-year-old group, but a very high average of the 36-year plus. And I can't figure out the correlation between this at 36 plus. But, this is to be expected. This does not surprise us at all at the 15 to 21-year-old on an average of 41 injuries per year. But it just kind of makes you wonder how the different age groups can get injured. So safety, what can we do? We want you to have a good time.
Right.
We want to have people enjoy themselves. So adult supervision, and I should have made this a little bit different. I should have put competent adult supervision would help. Read the instructions. Know what these things are going to do before you set them off. Place the fireworks on a solid foundation somewhere. Stay back at least 20 feet. And when you're done, soak the fireworks in water and then place them in a metal trash can.
Yep.
Again, you don't want to take this hot stuff and put it in plastic or a bag or something that's going to catch on fire. So if people want some more information, they can certainly get a hold of us. They can go to the State Fire Marshal, go to wsp.wa.gov and open up the Fire Marshal tab. And there's all kinds of good relevant information there. Or you can go to the National Fire Protection Association on fireworks safety. And again, we want people to have fun.
And once again, the fireworks that are sold within city limits leading up to the 4th of July, those are all legal.
Yes.
Okay, and that's where they should be getting their fireworks, and makes sense. Well, we sure appreciate you coming in, Chief Merrill, for educating us on fireworks safety for the 4th of July. Let's turn to Chief Green and let's talk about the police department and give us an update from Oak Harbor Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor. And continuing along this theme for the 4th of July, we're going to talk about a couple of things today. Our calls for service for May of this year, and we're going to continue on talking about some fireworks. Unlike Chief Merrill, where we come in and have to deal with the injuries, we're dealing with the legislative side. We're going to be putting you through the court system and stuff if you're not following the rules and doing what you should be doing. So our calls for service will start there. We actually saw a 16% decrease this month in our calls for service in this year compared to last year. Whereas the fire department actually went up, we went down a little bit. When I started examining all of our calls, the only thing that really stood out was everything did drop pretty much across the board, but our physical domestic violence assault calls actually saw a 133% jump. That's significant. And talking to some of the officers and examining some of those reports and things, it appears what is happening is people are starting to reach out, which is good. The education programs are working. So those people who are victims of domestic violence, believe they're victims of domestic violence, they're reaching out. They're asking for the help. They're asking for us to come in and intervene, which is what we want to do. That's what we.
So these might be incidents that in the past may have happened. We just never knew about it, but because of the education, because of the programs out there, now we're starting to be able to respond because they're doing the right thing and they're calling 911.
Exactly, and
Good.
that's exactly what I was going to get at. Is these are incidents that probably went unreported, partly because those victims didn't feel comfortable enough reaching out. Maybe they weren't sure about the systems that were in place, and that education part is making sure they know what those systems are and how we can protect them and things we can do. So with that, we've been pushing that, and again, part of that pushing it is the phone numbers, getting the phone numbers out so that you know, here's a non-emergency line to call dispatch. Here's the emergency line to call dispatch. And of course, as I've always said before, call us. We're here to serve you. Call us 24 hours a day. You can never bother the police department too much. That's our job. This is what we do. So
Yep.
you call. Even if it's just to ask a question about something, get us involved.
Good.
That's what we're here for. We are your resource. So, as I mentioned, and as Chief Merrill said, it's 4th of July. It's that time of year again. This is the time we celebrate the nation's birthday. It's a great time of year. Everybody loves it. Summer's here.
Yep.
It's time to all have fun. Families get together. Celebrations normally involve some type of barbecue and a lot of fireworks. So, a couple things to mention. We got onto the discussion about barbecues. This is great. They're done correctly. Make sure if you're going to be the one cooking, you know what you're cooking for food, health, and safety. Really, I'm not a great cook, and I'm not going to be the one to volunteer to stand there and put something on the grill. I'll tell you that, because I want to make sure that my family isn't suffering from food poisoning. So make sure you know what you're doing. Also, make sure you know how to handle the barbecue, because you're not talking about cooking at Evan. You're talking about cooking with an open flame.
Right.
Just common sense things. Keep children away from it. It's open flame. Keep people back who don't need to be around the grill. Don't ever use gasoline to start a fire. I think Chief Merrill can speak to that one. It's just not a good thing. The fumes and gasoline is what burns, and it will explode. And never, ever, ever walk away from a barbecue when it's going. Stay with it all the time.
Good advice.
So on to the 4th of July and the fireworks itself. As Chief Merrill talked about, the Safe and Sane fireworks, the consumer fireworks are covered under the RCW under 7077, 136. And he mentioned a little bit about the State Patrol's website and getting to it, and I have it down in the lower right-hand corner. And if you go to that particular website, you'll see that you'll get a listing of those consumer product safety fireworks, the fireworks that are legal and authorized under the UN code. And this is stuff that's also been gone through the Code of Federal Regulations on Title 16. I say that because he talked about some of these fireworks, and some that are legal and some are not, and some that are actually classified explosives aren't even fireworks. Fireworks that you see in the city, just as he's already mentioned, and fireworks that we sell at our stands are not reservation fireworks. These are not explosives. These are legal to have, legal to own, and legal to shoot off and discharge within the time frames. Anything on the reservation is not allowed to leave the reservation. So, any of those fireworks that leave the reservation and come off onto our property, any other state property, is going to be subject you to an arrest, essentially. It's a misdemeanor crime to be in possession of those particular fireworks. So the stuff we were just talking about here
Right.
that isn't marked correctly, that can be purchased on a reservation and be brought off that reservation, it's a misdemeanor crime to be in possession of those. And things change a little bit, though. When we start getting all these fireworks together, and we get a lot of them together, we start looking at how much you have in regard to black powder. And sometimes it may be a thing where you've gone on a spending spree and you purchased a tremendous amount of this stuff, and now you're to a point where I've got to actually start looking at, you've got explosive levels of fireworks here, and it changes the dynamic completely. Where that vehicle you thought was great that you owned is now going to become ours,
Right.
and we're going to keep everybody backing away from it. And it's going to be up to the State Patrol's bomb squad to decide how they're going to get all this stuff out safely. Are they going to just dispose of it in the car, burn the car? Or what is it going to take?
Wow.
The other thing, and some of the stuff you can buy on reservations, and Chief Merrill talked about this a little bit, is the M100s, the M60s, the M80s. These are not fireworks.
Explosives.
They are explosives.
Okay.
Possession of these is a felony in the state of Washington. These get up to about a quarter stick of dynamite. They have no business being in the public's hands. They have no business being used as a firework. If you have one of those, it's an entirely different thing. Whereas here, you're probably going to end up either going to jail, getting processed and released on a ticket to appear in court. These, you're going to go spend some time in the jail, and there's a chance you may spend over a year in jail after you're convicted for having them.
Okay.
So they're extremely dangerous. That's the reason for the felony laws.
No, good information.
So firework hazards, remember, just as Chief Merrill discussed, sparklers burn at or near 2,000 degrees. Animals have a tendency not to like fireworks. So if you're going to be playing with them, keep your animals back. A lot of small children don't like them. A lot of small children are too young to understand and comprehend what's going on. So always keep a bucket and a hose near you. Keep the hose turned on so you can access it. You can have a nozzle on it, that's fine, I get it. But I can't tell you how often we've gone to an incident where something's happened on the 4th and they say, well, I had a hose here. And, okay, we go to turn it on and it doesn't turn on. Well, we could have run across the yard to turn it on. By the time something happens, that's too late. Hose on with a nozzle on it would be ideal. So, and follow the directions. As Chief Merrill spoke earlier about this, there are directions on all these, even the legal fireworks, on how to use them. Follow the directions. Don't improvise. Don't put them together with another device. All illegal fireworks are going to be confiscated. You're probably going to receive a criminal citation to appear in court. It's a misdemeanor crime, and of course, if you're guilty, you're subject to fines and, of course, jail time. Jail time on a misdemeanor is up to 364 days in a county jail or a city jail. So the state has taken a pretty heavy stance on this, and rightfully so, because a lot of the stuff that's illegal is very dangerous and can hurt you. So we want to keep it out of the hands of anybody who shouldn't have it. So the big thing, enjoy the 4th of July. We want to see people get out and enjoy the 4th of July. And if you're not comfortable purchasing any of these and playing with them, the legal ones that is, then you don't want to risk your family's safety, head down to Windjammer Park. One of the things I love about the community of Oak Harbor and the city of Oak Harbor is the fact that the Chamber of Commerce and the city and all the other groups around here work together, and they have a huge 4th of July celebration. And it's all down at Windjammer Park. We launch fireworks, you have a carnival, you have vendors on there, you have food. So I would encourage you, really, really love to see people head down to the park, have fun down there as opposed to doing this in the neighborhoods. So if you're looking for their schedule, I put it up there and posted it, but you can also find it on their website. It's the Chamber of Commerce 4th of July schedule. As you can see, it's a fairly busy day. It's an all-day event, which is really neat. Starts off at about 7 a.m. with a family breakfast and starts working its way through. We do have a parade that morning where my staff will be working it all day, and then of course we'll be back out that evening down at the park to provide security and walking amongst everybody as the fireworks show begins. So, but we love the 4th of July. We love to see people get involved. We love to see people play with the legal fireworks and do the things that are legal, because the last thing you want us to do is to come in and start writing you tickets for things that are illegal, or actually having to place handcuffs on you and take you to jail because you're playing with an explosive device as opposed to a firework. Remember, when you go to a reservation or you go to some place that's selling fireworks on a reservation, their job is just that, they're selling.
Yep.
They want to sell things.
Yep.
So they want to make the money, so they're going to sell you things. You're not always going to get the facts. They're not always going to know that, hey, yeah, it's legal off our property. But I can tell you right now, if it's sold on a reservation, most of the time it's not going to be legal. If you're going to purchase fireworks, purchase them in the city at our city stands. So.
Makes sense. Perfect. Well, we sure appreciate you coming in. In fact, as I take a look at, the 4th of July and the ability to use fireworks, the city of Oak Harbor is one of the, few remaining municipalities, because there's a lot of cities around us that don't allow fireworks at all. And so, we still have the opportunity to celebrate the 4th of July and light off fireworks safely and do so legally and do so correctly. It wouldn't take much for one of our citizens to go purchase illegal fireworks and next thing you know, someone's getting injured, and the next thing you know, city council's passing an ordinance banning, fireworks, and it wouldn't take much for us to no longer have the situation that we currently have here in the city of Oak Harbor. So we have a unique situation here in the city of Oak Harbor where we can light off fireworks as long as we do so safely, and those are legal fireworks. So we appreciate the time and education that you've both brought to us today. It was very timely, so we appreciate that. You've been watching another episode of Oak Harbor City Updates on Public Safety, and we've been hearing from our police chief, Chief Ed Green. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, Mayor.
Our fire chief, Chief Ray Merrill. Appreciate you coming in and educating us on how we can celebrate the 4th of July. I love the suggestion of, in fact, we don't need to even have to worry about the possibility of being injured or worrying about safety. We could go down to Windjammer Park the night of the 4th, and Chamber of Commerce puts on a great fireworks show with the help of the city and business owners here in town. So that's always well attended, and seems to get bigger and better each and every year. So it's a great way to celebrate the 4th of July, is watch the big fireworks down at our Windjammer Park. So that's another great option that a lot of people take advantage of. So thanks for coming in again, and you've been watching another episode of Oak Harbor City Updates. I'm Mayor Scott Dudley. Until next time, make it a great Oak Harbor day.